This is the money routine that took me from the 4 dark walls of my overdraft to having a healthy bank balance that grows every month. It's a routine that lets me treat myself in moderation, enjoy and spend money on experiences and memories, but still overcome lifestyle inflation and economic inflation. And today I'm sharing it with you so you could do the exact same thing. So I'm not 100% there yet with having zero financial anxiety and no bad habits. Everyone has bad habits. Getting good with money is definitely a journey, especially if you're coming from a place of scarcity, bad habits, and fear. So as much as implementing this routine will definitely help, know that it's okay to freak out still now and again, and as long as you're marginally making those improvements and you're aware of the freakouts, you'll be fine. So this is a routine that I do on a monthly basis. Monthly is what works for me because of, the nice 4-week gap between every time I do it. I also get paid on a monthly basis, so it works better for me to deal with like a new fresh batch of money, cash money, and it works well with how far in advance I like to plan things and be ahead of the game. 4 weeks is like my magic number. Figure out your magic time period, your magic number, maybe base it on your pay cycle and get started from there. So the first thing I'll do is log into my bank account or my online banking for all of the accounts I have. So this sounds super simple and almost not worth a step because you have to log in to be able to do everything, see your bank balance, see your transactions, but logging into my bank account was a massive hurdle for me at the beginning, so I like to treat it as a step because it's now something I actively do every month. I'm acting like this is a super dramatic event, but it's not anymore, but it used to be, and it's a step in my monthly process. And the second thing I'll do is start tracking my spending. I do this through a budget, and what I'll track is normally any progress towards like value-based goals, like saving goals or investing goals that I have right now. I just like to make sure that my spending is what I expected it to be. It's in line with what I did last month and nothing, unexpected came up. And if not, and this is the important part because there can be, things that weren't planned that you didn't really budget for that maybe you did spend impulsively. So if those things did happen, think about why they happened. And if you get to the root cause of whatever overspending or out of budget activity you did, you can figure out whether you need to kind of factor that into your budget or figure out how you can kind of mitigate that in the next month. So you can just think about basically whether the budget needs to change marginally going forward. Do you need to make a new sinking fund? Did you buy anything that you don't really need that you can now return? And also to see if you can cut any costs from spending that is definitely going to happen, that isn't, impulsive, but you've noticed that is maybe going up a little bit. So things like looking for cash back on or for places that you actually regularly buy from, maybe saving the vouchers from the supermarket so you can use them next time you go, and this is useful for the predicted spending. The third thing I'll do is make sure that my automated savings are still going through and they're going through at amounts that I'm comfortable with, and whether or not I want to increase these, whether I want to change the destination of these automated savings. And this also involves tracking my savings rate. Your savings rate is a really important rate if you're just getting started with personal finance and learning about money. Focusing on your savings rate rather than like the amount of pounds or dollars, whatever that you're trying to save, is a much healthier thing to focus on because increasing that rate over time is regardless of how much money you're saving, and put less pressure on penny pinching, which is just something that feeds into a scarcity mindset and will just cause you more anxiety. Also, focusing on your savings rate can help you in naturally keeping lifestyle inflation a little bit lower. Fourth thing I'll do is also track my investments. So this is part of tracking the progress towards the investments. All my investment contributions are automatic, so I'll check that these automations are again in the right amounts and going to the right thing. Are they going to the right funds every month? Like, have I set everything up correctly? Did last month's go through? That kind of thing. I was recently promoted, so I actually went into my Vanguard account and increased my contributions because I could now afford to do so, and I knew how much I could increase them by because of my budget and working out how much extra I could afford to never see again, but not have to rely on. If there are any like one-off contributions I want to make, I could maybe do them here. A couple months I did this via buying a couple NFTs, and yeah, it was a small thing, but you can think about any one-off things in this step. The fifth thing to do is to kind of look ahead for any big social events, big bills coming up, any due dates for anything that is paid annually, any like big direct debits. Look ahead in the month and make sure that you're kind of prepared for that. Do you have the right sinking fund set up? If you don't, do you need to set one up for the next year? Or do you need to adjust the amounts to the sinking fund? Like, has the actual total amount you're paying stayed the same? All this kind of stuff. Can you reduce the total amount? Like, if it's insurance, can you look somewhere else? If it's a big wedding that you're going to as a guest, have you you budgeted the right amounts for getting your outfit, getting a present, all this kind of stuff. This leads nicely on to the 6th step, which is making time in the calendar for any value-based spending. So for me, this is a huge important step of my routine, and it's the one that has saved me the most anxiety, and as a type A Virgo, has given me the most amount of joy. So I will basically make time with money to do all the things I want to do. So for me, this is eating at local eateries and trying new workout classes. And a really nice structure that I stick to that is good for me and the city I live in and my budget is one weekend with bougie breakfasts, so potentially both days, Saturday, Sunday, with a bougie breakfast from a local bakery, one evening out a week. So by evening out, this means like dinner and drinks, maybe. I tend to not spend that much money on cocktails in general, so it might just be dinner. 2 ice cream sandwiches from this place that I'm obsessed with in Edinburgh. If you follow me on Instagram, you'll know what I'm talking about. I'm obsessed with these ice cream sandwiches and I'm just not going to not eat them. They're actually really good value for money because you get 2 cookies and some big load of soft serve for like £5, and it's not even that many, and usually I go over this 2 amount, but she also changes the ice cream sandwich flavor every month, so you know this has to be factored in. Anyway, that was a bit of a segue. It was a bit of a spin-off, I don't know. And a coffee and a cookie from a local cafe slash little stand that's close to my office every week, so that's 4 of those every month. I will also budget for 5 pints or 10 half pints across the month, so like wherever I want to have them. And this sounds quite meticulous, but it's something that's worked for me, and it's something that this is like a number of things that I've got to from a lot of trial and error. So I've budgeted for more and not needed to, and I've budgeted for way less and found it was really restrictive. So this allows me to try different restaurants once a week, get the ice cream sandwich I'm obsessed with at least twice a month, so once every 2 weeks, which better for the body and good for the soul. And what I do like practically is add up the cost of all of this, which I know the cost of because I do it regularly, and I'll transfer this total amount into a Monzo pot, and I'll just use my Monzo for every time I'm doing these things. So every time I'm getting my coffee and a cookie from the place local to my office, I will use my Monzo account. That way the money's on the Monzo, I just need to leave the house with the Monzo and I'm done. Like I don't need to think about transferring money or like, oh my god, have I budgeted for this random evening out or this random cookie? Nothing feels impulsive. And the beauty of this step as well, that the beauty that it is a step that's part of your monthly process, is that you can adjust it every month. So for example, last month I had a couple of friends coming up to Edinburgh to stay with me, and what I did was just budget for a few extra meals out, drinks out, and an extra ice cream cookie sandwich, and I just moved around, you know, when I was going to have these during the month, and just added a few extra. It didn't really do that much damage. Edinburgh's not particularly expensive for this kind of thing, so the impulsive overspending and the guilt associated with that was just gone. 7th step is to add these dates to your calendar, so any big bill due dates, any big social events, and if you want to be more meticulous, you can add the date to your calendar and then add a little note that, you know, you've counted this in your budget, so don't worry. And the final step is making sure that after all of this is done, any extra money you have left over has a sort of plan for it. Right now I have a few aggressive travel goals, so any extra funds I find, I'm just dumping it in there. It's short term enough that if I don't end up using up all this money that I'm saving for travel by the end of the year, I can maybe invest it. But as with the theme of this video, adjust for your habits and your goals. If you don't have any major goals, build an emergency fund. If you've built your emergency fund, think about any value-based spending trends that you've noticed in your budget, make time and money for those. Above all else, invest anything that is a bit of an excess. So that brings me to the end of my monthly routine that has genuinely changed my life. It genuinely just gives me a lot of joy to be able to do this and to be able to turn up to time with my friends to the ice cream sandwich place and know that, you know, I'm set. I have built in that spending into my budget and it's something that I enjoy, and it really just allows you to stick to your savings goals but still enjoy life, because I think that's the most important part of all of this. There's no point kind of suffering through your 20s just so that you can maybe retire early or reach your saving goals a couple of years earlier. Personally, I just don't think there's any point to doing that, because ice cream sandwiches are genuinely just I've got no words. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you've got any monthly money routines, any payday routines, and we can kind of exchange some tips in the comments. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.